Season 3 Gprl. If you don't follow the Twitter, then you won't know what's happening in qualifying. Raul getting his third pole of the season, making it 3 on the trot. Behind him was Raul doing a good job in second again. Then it's the McLarens having a good qualifying of Yannick ahead of Jarno, P3, P4. The newly signed Mercedes of Dan in P5 doing a good job out qualifying his teammate. Then it's Steve in the Renault managing to get P6, a good job from him. Behind him Ryan in the Toro Rosso, quite considerable margin from him to his teammate down in P7. He's going to be looking to make an impact. They both qualified on the same tyre, and there was over a second between them, so Ryan needs to sort that out. Behind him is Dennis, the lead force India. He was behind his teammate before Henrik got disqualified, so Dennis starts in P8. Karim, P9, my ex-teammate, and I believe he scored his best Gprl finish to date as Dennis goes for a little spin there. Yeah, Karim scored his best Gprl finish to date. So did I at this race last year when we were both driving for Ferrari. Karim managed to get a podium, and it's going to be interesting to see what he can do this time around. Simon, P10, nothing incredible. Henrik getting disqualified, he was P6 I believe. And then Felipe, who is meant to be racing for the Renault, he's in the Ferrari, but his points will count for Team Renault. As we look further to the front now, Merrigan has lined up in his grid spot. And now he's just going to wait for all the drivers to line up. And it will be go for round 3. Season 3. Just listen to my lovely voice, just to check everything's sorted. And it is. So we go to 5 red lights for round 3 of Season 3. Gprl. It's lights out and away we go. Raul getting a good start. Can he pull a line? Getting a very good start as he's side by side with Merrigan. Merrigan gets of Yannick as they side by one as Raul. Around the outside there's contact there with one of the Mercedes. That's Yannick that's gone down. Jarno up into P4. Steve making up places. Dennis getting a good, and Ryan you can see down quite. Felipe up in P11 and Jarno. Quick look as this moves all the way around the outside. Goes Karim, can't make that work. But with Simon, as we look ahead, Merrigan keeping this lead. And it's going to be very important. A lot of oversteer there. Karim managed to get back past his teammate, saying that the Mercedes side by side, if he does have front wing damage. There's Yannick, Simon, Felipe trying to go around the outside of Karim. Karim, he's kept his as he tucks into the slipstream. Quite a bit of lag, as it's a 5-second stop go penalty for Dan in his debut. Meanwhile Karim up to P4. Great start from him, exactly what I was talking about. Jarno does dive into the pits as normal, well I say normal order. Jarno in the pits now, as Ryan's not had a great start, he's going to pit as well. Meanwhile his teammate not being able to extend out the gap massively is very close to all there for Raul. We got Henrik up in P3, very good job from him after getting disqualified in qualifying. Karim is up in P4. Felipe up into P5, he's had a great start. Simon is in P6. Yannick and Jarno, the two McLarens. Jarno has pit, he's going to come out on the ultra soft tyre. And here is Yannick on the ultra soft. Jarno on fresh ultra soft, so he's going to definitely be committing to a 2-stop. Dennis for his first stop already in. I don't believe he suffered damage, I'm not quite sure actually. But Dan, so everyone that's just pitted, so Ryan, Dan, Dennis and Jarno all on fresh ultra soft, so they're not going to try and stretch one to the end of the race. Meanwhile Ryan just ahead of newly signed Dan. Meanwhile Raul does set a fastest lap. The gap has been closed to about half a second, so this is going to be interesting to see, you know, if Merrigan can pull out a gap, whether Merrigan's conserving his tyres or not. Henrik has dropped back to around 9 seconds, as just about half a second behind him is Karim. As we ride on board with the Mercedes, looking to match his best finish. Be interesting to see if Karim can do that. You know, maybe he's quite strong here around Canada. It's closing in on the Force India. You can just see the absolute pace of the guys ahead. Merrigan and Raul goes very wide. He's going to cut the escape road. Take out the flag. That's going to be at least a warning, if not a penalty. Remember, regular corner cutting rules as of late in Gprl. Marushin with a little lockup there, just a small lockup. As Raul will have DRS this time round. I believe he may have last time. Maybe that's what brought him so close. You can see Marushin trying to weave, getting out the slipstream. As we look further behind, I don't believe Raul will be able to make a challenge. And here is Karim on the back of Henrik, co-owner of the league alongside me. He defends the inside. Karim's not able to make a move into the final chicane. As well as looking forward, Karim has to look backwards, as there is Felipe ready to pounce if he makes a mistake. Now it looks like Karim's going to have to do more defending than attacking. As through turn 1, nothing much comes of it there. Felipe in the Ferrari, should be in the Renault, so if you weren't here at the start, do please remember that Felipe, racing for Ferrari, but you know, as he joined late in qualifying, it's a randomly selected team, so all his points will be counted up for Renault. As now we look lap 5 already. These laps are absolutely flying by. Marushin, it could be because he's just maintaining the gap, it could be because Raul is just quick. You see another lockup. Raul much smoother on the brakes. As you can see, Marushin a little bit of oversteer coming out of the final corner, not the penultimate corner, sorry. As that's going to give Raul a good look, a good run into the World Champion chicane. Is he going to go for it? No, he is a lot closer there, so he might just choose to set himself up through the final corner. You see Marushin does seem to be struggling with his rear tyres. As now we can see through starting lap 6. Raul not able to make an attack as we look further back. Karim goes down the inside of Henrik. Henrik has to cut the corner, as that's going to give Felipe a good run. If we can see what camera angle we get. So Henrik has to give the position back, which promotes Karim to P3. And this is Henrik and Felipe going side by side, looking back to Simon, who's going to be watching us, licking his lips. As bear in mind, Henrik is on the slowest super soft tyres, so he's going to be really committing to a one-stop and wants to keep his nose clean, because you can't afford to have front wing damage and go that long in the race. As now we look to Felipe looking down the inside of Karim. If he can make that stick, that's a podium position from last, but Karim fends them off for the time being. As if Felipe manages to get on the podium, it's going to be something quite special, as Henrik looks down the inside, and that's going to be Felipe off. Probably going to have to give that position back. Yes, he does. As you can see also, this is Simon steaming through. He goes down the inside of Henrik at the hairpin, sorry, as Felipe is going to try following through. That's a good move there from Felipe in the Ferrari, side by side now with Henrik, as Simon's done a very good job. He's getting squeezed into the wall there, very frisky there. You can see Felipe running out to VRS, so that's not going to help him, as he's side by side. Apologies for the lag, trying to get a good run out of the final corner. Side by side, now they are into the first corner. What can Felipe do? Sorry. Trying to get a switch back up into turn 3. That's a lovely move, that is. Ryan is out the session. Not quite sure what's happened there, we'll have a look in a minute, but meanwhile we focus on this battle. Felipe getting ahead of oh, that's a big oversteer moment for Raul. Sorry, I was a bit off the ball there, but Raul getting a big oversteer. That could be signs of his tyres overheating. Now Marushin has the chance to extend the gap quite dramatically, so we look on board with this lovely shot of Karim's car. You can see behind, it's Simon in the Sauber, who hasn't had a season shout about so far, but maybe he can make this a podium. He's going to look into the chicane. Karim goes very deep, possibly looking to set himself up for a good run. Very smart driving there from the Mercedes driver of Karim. Apologies if you can hear any wind. It's very windy in England as I'm commentating. Is riding on board with Simon. Is he close enough to have a look into the final chicane? No, he's not. He's going to try to set himself up, but Karim really parking it, so trying to back him up into Felipe. But now Simon's going to have a run. Is he going to look to the inside of the outside? Will he make a move in the first place? He does, very late in the day. Side by side, Karim's forced to cut the corner. Going to see Karim does get a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. We might have to have a look at that. We may end up removing that, because that did look as if he was forced off. So we'll see where this goes. And Felipe going all the way around the outside in that Ferrari. That's an incredible move, that is, for Karim, as I believe he did try and hand back the position from from Simon, so that's gone from bad to worse for Karim as he gets put in the wall and he's round, and that's contact with Henrik. That's not great for either of them. That will have to be investigated after the race. It's Felipe, your big stunner, as I believe that is Simon getting very all over the place. It's all kicking off in the midfield today, as I said on the Twitter account. Yeah, the midfield battle is going to be very spicy, and it hasn't disappointed at all. As finally I think I get to have a breather, as Yannick's made it back up into P6. I believe he does still have damage, so he's running well with that. Karim, who did get put round, you can see he does have slight damage to the front left element of his front wing, but I don't think it's going to hurt him too much as he's scheduled to stop anyway. As you can see, he's on those hyper soft tyres. So will he pit this lap? Yes, he will. So that it could have been worse for Karim. It really could have been worse. Says the McLaren of Yana going through up into P7, as Raul is also in the pits. He comes out cleanly in P6 in a McLaren sandwich. He's got about 6 seconds up the road before he reaches Yannick, who's chasing down Henrik, who may or may not have damage. He's been in the walls a bit today, but one thing to note, he is on the hardest compounder tyre. So it's very interesting to see Simon in the Alfa Romeo Sauber in P3. Obviously that's an effective P4, as it's Felipe in an effective P3, of course, because Raul, here he is, has just pitted. And within that opening lap, Raul's closed about 3 seconds already on Yannick. So you can see not only the tyre advantage, but also I think this proves that Yannick does have some damage from the start, because we got Yannick coming into the pits. No, I was just quite slow. Sorry about that. As we look forward to Felipe, we got a bit of a glitch where the engines are revving out, so I will try and stay off board as much as possible, as I understand it's not the best thing for your ears. As Raul sets a 1 at 11.5, very good lap there from him as he starts to close up on the drivers ahead. Ahead we have Yannick closing in on Henrik, closing in on Simon, who's closing in on Felipe. So, you know, very interesting race transpired so far. And if we look ahead, Meriden still on those ultra soft tyres, trying to take those as long as possible. He's got about 22 seconds to Felipe behind him, so that's probably just about enough for a pit stop. You can see that is Dennis there being lapped, as in front of him is Karim. So he's behind his teammates, so you can see that early pit stop for Dan has really paid off. But I believe he will be on much worn tyres, and Karim may be able to close that gap. We'll have to see. Yana with about a 7 second gap to Raul ahead, who's now closed in on this midfield scrap. As now we watch Yannick closing in on the Force India. He's going to go to the inside and down the inside of the final chicane. It's a very good move, that is, and a job well done for Yannick. So he's up into P4 now, nearly back to where he started. As now we look for Raul, trying to pick up on the scraps of Henrik. If I were Henrik, I wouldn't fight too hard, as Raul's going to come through anyway. Completely ignore me. Side by side, up through turn 2, into turn 3. Raul has it on traction. Yannick, and now Meriden. He's going to be can to extend the gap, because this is where the race could be won or lost. You got Raul having to fight his way through traffic. He will be losing time to Meriden, whether he's got worn tyres or not, as Meriden still continues on, so going very long in this race. So maybe you could expect, I would expect him to go onto super softs at the end, but maybe on a push ultra soft. So we look to Raul. One thing I haven't pointed out as he blitzes past Yannick in a straight line, I don't believe Yannick put up too much of a fight there. He's just going to tuck into the slipstream. Very smart driving from himself there. But moving to Raul, that's a bit of a corner cut there from Simon. But moving our attention to Raul, he's on the ultra soft, so this confirms he's doing a 2-stop. So possibly onto the hyper softs at the end if he can take it that long, if not the super soft. There's a little bit tied to tyre contact there with the Sauber, as Raul not able to get through yet. We look back to the McLaren, back on board with the Williams. It's been a good season so far for Raul, as he goes up the inside of turn number 3. Pretty good move there. He's a pit stop ahead of these guys, so I wouldn't expect him to put too much of a challenge. As if I were Meriden's team radio engineer, I'd tell him, you better pit this lap, because Raul is gonna catch up to Felipe and possibly pass him. Meriden currently has about a 23-second gap to Felipe, maybe a bit more, probably pushing on the 25-second. So if Meriden can get in and out now, even if he copies Raul's strategy, he will be on fresher tyres. So maybe that would be worth doing. I was look to Felipe now, still going strong on his super soft tyres. Been a very impressive drive so far from Felipe off what he did last round in Bahrain. Unfortunately there wasn't a live stream, I do apologise for that. As Henrik is in the pits, he gets a 5-second stop go penalty for speeding. That's not going to help him at all. And as we look further back, this is Yannick battling the Sauber. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Felipe, Raul all over the back of him. Is Raul possibly going to make a move down the inside? No, he's not able to make a move. You can see he's right up his gearbox. But what I was saying, Felipe produced an incredible drive. Felipe's not always able to make it to qualifying, so he usually starts at the back of the grid. As Dennis retires from the session, not sure what's happened there. One of the Force Indias is gone as Henrik comes out just behind Karim. So Karim getting the undercut as there was I'm not sure if there was contact there. But moving further forward, here we have Raul looking around the outside of Felipe. Raul having fresher tyres, everything. As he had to get off the gas a little bit there because Felipe a little bit all over the place on those old super soft tyres. As I do expect Raul to bliss past now. In slipstream, move to the inside. That's a textbook move. Lovely. Felipe is going to wave him goodbye. You can see on Felipe's steering wheel actually he's running quite low on ERS, so he might have to start conserving that. As now there's about a 23-second gap between Raul and Meriden, who's going strong. As a VSC has been called out. I believe that this is for Dennis. Quite a late decision. There's a bit of kerfuffle there between Yannick and Simon. But yeah, a VSC called out, so I thought everyone was going a little bit slow. So I think it would be smart for Meriden to come in now. I think it would, personally. He's got a 28-second gap. I think that may be Meriden just being on the limit because it wasn't that big. But if it is, he's done a very good job, and I'd be very surprised if Meriden wasn't pitting. You can see he does seem to be pushing it quite a bit down the straight, and he does pit. Being very cautious into the pit lane, not speeding, very smart from him there. So I do believe there's a lot of rev in there. I do apologise for that, there's a little glitch on this game. So Raul will have the notification, and he will be able to see that that Raul is in the pits, as there's a green flag now. So Meriden doesn't get all the benefits of a free pit stop, but he gets a lot. And that has worked in the Toro Rosso's favour, because now he has a very healthy lead. I believe it will be around 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds to Raul. Fresher tyres, I believe. As long as there's no mistakes, this will be going the Toro Rosso's way. As Felipe struggling with tyre warm-up at the restart. He's got the Sauber actually passed by the McLaren, possibly on the restart. I was watching the... Sorry about that. Sorry I missed that. So, yeah, now it's a battle of warming the tyres up. As you can see, Yannick a little bit all over the place. As Simon just looks a little bit more confident in the first sector as we're approaching the halfway point of this race. This race is flown by actually. We're all battling in the midfield. Really enjoyed it. I hope you guys at home have too. I say at home, I'm at home too, but doesn't matter. We're watching Simon now, as he will get DRS onto the back straight. Yannick won't have DRS. He's about a second out. He goes very deep into the hairpin. This may be setting himself up for a good one. We saw Karim do this earlier, so it seems to be quite a popular tactic among the drivers. So now we have a little look. It really doesn't look as if Simon's closing in that much, so it could be because both drivers in the pits. So battle's going to be taken to the pit lane. Jana will inherit P4. As looking forward, Raul closed the gap about a second, so fresh tyres not doing anything for Meriden so far, but I wouldn't be surprised if Meriden is really trying to bring this stint out, as Raul will probably have to go onto the super soft at the end, because I don't believe his tyres will take him long enough to go onto the ultra soft as he gets, not the ultra soft, the hyper soft, as a lot of oversteer there in that sector, proving that his tyres may be a little bit overheated, as there's a yellow flag in sector 1. Is that Henrik? Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure. I can't see anything, so normal order is resumed as we got Henrik still behind Karen. Gonna be interesting to see if he can get through. He's been stuck behind him since the pit stops, I do believe. As both these drivers doing one more stop, I do believe. Karen just a little bit all over the place. As Merishon sets a fast slap, he's getting his foot down. A couple of moves there from Henrik as he puts a move down the inside of the chicane. Very good move there. As we look back to Karim, he will have DRS though, so maybe it wasn't the greatest idea to put one down the inside of that little chicane under the bridge. As Karim, if you can get a good run through the final corner, I keep getting that mixed up. If you can get a good run through the hairpin, and he's running low enough downforce, so you've got enough ERS to play with. It's tight on his ERS bar, you can see on the steering wheel. He's closing in. I don't think he'll be close enough. He simply will just run out of ERS. So another big feature of this year's game, as you can see it playing up in the leagues, is ERS management. It really makes a difference. You can tell, there's quite a difference between a driver that can and can't manage ERS. As now we look to Merishon. He's not had a problem with managing ERS. He's 12 seconds ahead of Raul, and if you're going to place your bets, I'd put my money on Merishon to win the race. Unless there's another unlucky or lucky safety car, depends which way you want it. Me being a neutral, I'd love to see this battle, closed up. But, for Merishon's sake, he was going to be my teammate going into Season 3, but I decided to drop back into a role like this. The joys, as Raul gets a 5-second stop and go penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Right. This mixes things up, because this will probably put Raul right in the thick of the action of the likes of Yannick, Dan, Simon, and possibly Henrik and Karim. So if Raul has to get into the pits again, that's not great, as Jana carries on up in P3. McLaren's back into their qualifying positions of P3 and P4, so very impressive there. And Yannick is going to the end, I do believe, on these super softs. So a podium could be on for Yannick, as Felipe still has to pit again. There's about a 14-second gap between Felipe and Yannick. So at this rate, I believe Yannick could be on for P2. But, never count Felipe out. You saw, unfortunately there wasn't a live stream because I wasn't here. But Felipe, from what I've heard and from what I've seen, had a very good race, very good on the tyres, and that's one of the big attributes of Felipe, not only being a fast driver, but also being able to manage the tyres incredibly, and that's what won him the race in Bahrain. So as now we look to Karim, who was, when I last checked, was close to Henrik, but he seems to have dropped off the pace, both on the ultra soft tyre. The ultra soft seems to be a popular compound. Simon on the super soft, meanwhile we have Dan on the ultra soft, and there's Raul on the super soft. So as I predicted, Raul will be going to the end. The last 17 laps he's got on these super soft tyres. Ahead we have Yannick, who Raul will have to overtake for position. There's about a 3-second gap between the two of them, as do expect, as Yannick sets a very fast lap, an 11.4. So you can see Yannick, he's on it, is trying to close up to his teammate, who, and 4 seconds ahead of the road, 4 seconds up the road, sorry, from him, is Felipe, still out on the super soft tyres. I expect him to come in around lap 25, I reckon. Felipe's pace has been consistent for all I know. He's done a good job. If we have a little look at the tyres, there we go. So you can see Felipe 18 laps on these tyres, doing a very good job of keeping them in shape. Expect Karim to come in for another stop soon, as he's been on those ultra softs for 10 laps. I believe this race might transpire into a bit of a lonely one for Karim, as we also have Dan on the ultra soft tyres. It says the ultra soft. I believe these are the super soft. We may have a little tyre selection glitch, but I believe he's been on the super softs for 16 laps, as has Yana. Meanwhile, there's a move for P4. Raul getting past Yannick into P4. Yeah, sorry, bit all over the place, checking everything. But yeah, that's a good move by Raul, from what I saw up the inside of the bus, not the bus stop. I'm all over the place today, aren't I? Up the inside of the final chicane, and Yannick just says thank you very much. See you later, mate. As Raul now has to chase up about 8 seconds up the road to his teammate. And then it's Felipe still yet to pit. And going strong, I have to say, he's done a good job, Felipe. He's a very likable guy. Does all the videos for Gprl, so I've got a lot of respect for him. And you know, for his sake, I hope he does well. Up ahead, Marushan, you know, he's an incredible driver. Realistically, you know, 3 poles in the last 3 races. I believe he got pole in both the test races as well. So Marushan currently has about 100% record in qualifying, which is something we've never seen in GPRL before. Yeah, back in the days when we had Billy and Terry, you know, when they were really on form, nothing compared to what we're seeing so far this season of Marushan. You can see we have yes, that is Yana into the pits, and also Felipe into the pits. So Felipe going onto the ultra soft tyre, not being able to stretch it to the hyper soft, so not getting all the benefits. But this is going to be very interesting to see how much Felipe can come through the field, because he's got about 5 seconds to Yannick, and then only another 1.5 seconds to Raul. So Felipe really has put himself in a very good position. If he can keep it together, it's looking positive as Dan just comes out the pits with a new set of ultra softs. He's going to the end. I suspect Karen will be trying to hold out for the super softs, not ultra hyper softs. Sorry. We have Henrik on the ultra soft 8 laps in. I can imagine he's going to go to the hyper softs for the end. Simon, who's been on these tyres for 5 laps, he's going to be going to the end, I do believe. Yana going to the end of these, so is Felipe, and I believe we've got all our scheduled stops done, bar Karen, and obviously bar Marushan. I believe that graphic up there is wrong. It could be wrong, it could be right, I'm not sure. If it is right, and Marushan's actually on the super softs, the game's played me, and he's got a 30-second gap, you know. If he needs to, he can pit to Raul. There's a little contact there between Raul and the wall, closely followed by Yannick. Raul not storming away from Yannick, so yeah, that's interesting, because so far over the course of the season, not saying in general, but Raul's been the faster driver than Yannick consistently, but Yannick really proving his critics wrong from the start of the season. Just looking back, we have Felipe, 3.3 seconds separate him now to a podium position. If genuinely, if Felipe can get a podium, I think he's my pick for driver of the day. So he gets a little bit of lag. As looking behind, we have Iana. Also, he is on the super soft, but no, he's not. He's on the ultra soft. Oh well. Sorry guys, I do apologise. We got Simon up in P6. He's been doing a good job so far. It's been a good race so far for him. I really did enjoy the scrap he had in the middle of the session as Steve finally leaves the session. Karim, he finally made a stop. I believe he's going to get blue flags in a minute for Marushan. Let's hope, for Marushan's sake, that no contact's made, but if there is a little bit of contact, he could still afford to have a pit stop, I do believe. If there's an extra 6 second, you see it does want Marushan on his little dashboard to pit in. So maybe that's just the game and it's ingenious strategies. I doubt he is going to pit in. As we look further behind, Yannick, he's closed up to Raul, so maybe Raul having tyre warm-up issues. But Yannick's been doing a really good job, and I'm genuinely quite surprised. That's not the criticism of Yannick, but yeah, fellow GPRL admin, flying the flag high for us at the final corner. Very nice on traction. So that's Felipe. As we look to Raul, is there anything he can do about the attack from the McLaren? He's going to be as inside as he possibly wants to. There's a yellow flag somewhere. Is that Dan? Possibly with an issue. I can't quite see. Look further ahead. This is Yannick and Raul side by side into turn 1. Can Raul get it done around the outside? Yes, he can. That's very close with the grass. As Raul's going to try and get a switchback move early on the power. Can he do anything possibly down the inside? No, he sticks behind for now. Well, you can see all bit of contact there between the two of them. Yannick lagging around a little bit. Not great for Raul's liking. But yeah, very good job there from Yannick. He's another contender for driver of the day. You can see he was... oh dear. Henrik. He's had a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. Not quite sure what happened there. He's retired from the session. So what was looking as the podium for Henrik ends up turning into a retirement. Both Force India's out of the race now, and Henrik will just about score points as he's just completed 75. Has he? I'll have to calculate that later. Bear with me. But Yannick has dropped down. Sorry about that. I've completely missed it. There's a VSC. Wow, I was going through what happened with Henrik, and there's a VSC's been called out. Raul is in the pits, and what happened with Yannick? I'm not quite sure if Yannick has damage or not. He's going to pit, so I assume that he does. And yeah, wow, that's put Felipe in P2. What a drive he's had so far. Felipe just keeps on surprising me. He's done so well, and I think he proves that qualifying, it doesn't mean much. Because he's up into P2 now. We got Raul coming out just ahead of the Sauber of Simon. Raul really backing up there, try to get within the delta limit. As it's green flag, wow, there's a glitchy tyre wall there. Apologies for any of the drivers that might get tangled up in that. That would cause quite a scene. Anyway, Raul is behind Jarno, who's behind Felipe. And Felipe is on fresh tyres, so Raul will really start speeding up. There's 10 seconds currently between him and Jarno ahead. Jarno, who is in the slipstream of Felipe, does he have DRS? I believe he does. Yes, he does. Opens the rear wing flap. He won't be close enough to have a go into the final chicane, but he may be setting himself up for a run. As I'm not sure what happened with Yannick. That it does baffle me, because Yannick he was driving so well. And it's just a shame he's getting on the grass a little bit there. But yeah, that's a shame, that is, and it'll have to be investigated after the race what actually happened, and there might be another penalty coming Raul's way. But yeah, we have Jarno now. Jarno behind Felipe. Right, there's been a lot going on this race, hasn't there? You've got your money's worth at home. Telling you that. It's lap 26 now of the Canadian Grand Prix. Round 3, Season 3, Gprl. It's Toro Rosso leads, a 37-second gap. He is on super soft tyres, slightly worn, but I don't think he's going to be worrying at all. He's got the cushion of an extra pit stop if he needs to. As Jarno makes a move on Felipe. Felipe gets an undercut, so you're trying to get a better exit. Felipe will have a better exit, whether he's got the better engine mode or not, I'm not sure. Jarno will have DRS though, so another move that I've missed. I do apologise for you watching at home. But yeah, Jarno up into P2. There is a glitchy tyre wall there, and I do apologise for that. It's not great as Yannick gets past Dan not putting up too much of a fight from what I can see. Yannick up into P6, and so far it's looking a decent race for McLaren's as Raul sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. It's now just 7.1 to Felipe, who's dropped out of the DRS range of Jarno. So Jarno going well on these ultra soft tyres, but he doesn't want to push them too hard because they will run out at the end of the stint. It's quite easy to overheat the tyres through the middle sector of this Grand Prix, so maybe Felipe's just conserving his tyres enough. As he does have DRS, you can see that little beep. That's just telling the driver that they can activate DRS, so he will be closer through the chicane, therefore closer enough to possibly get DRS. As you can see, Jarno is cutting corners, so it's right on the edge of the limits, and it may be something we need to look at. There's yellow flag in sector 2. That's Raul. Raul's gone off and he's lost his front wing. Absolute disastrous race for Raul so far. And has he lost his front wing? I believe he has. Yes, he has. That's not good. Not great for Raul. I can imagine what happened. He probably just got a lot of oversteer pushing, but that's not great. As we look to Felipe, that tyre wall cracks me up every time I see it. He's closed the gap to about 0.8 of a second, so that's going to be an extra place for Yannick. That promotes Simon up into P4. As Raul has a 5-second stop-go penalty again for speeding in the pit lane. Disastrous. Disastrous, I think is the way to describe it for Raul. As Simon inherits P4. Yannick in P5 on fresh tyres. There's 8 laps left as Yannick really pushing the limits. You can see through turn 1 he's got 5.9 seconds to close up on the old super soft tired. Raul has left. Yep, I think that sums up his day really. Not great. Merchant's still in the lead. He's gonna, you know, dominate the championship in terms of tally, not in terms of future. Don't you worry. Felipe within 6/10, or within a second, I should say, of Jarno. Doesn't look to be pursuing the slipstream too much. But yeah, disappointing day for Raul. He will score points, crucially, because he's definitely completed 75% of the race. That's the rule we run here in Gprl. If you complete 75% of the race, you can score points. So, Felipe and Jarno starting lap 29 of this 35 lap race. As these two drivers actually came in, and Felipe was ahead of Jarno, so these two have been battling since the pit stops. And yeah, very interesting. As now we look back to Yannick, who's closed another second, taking another second out of Simon's P4. Would be a good recovery drive for him if he can get up to P4. Will do him good in the championship. As now Felipe just seems to have the edge on Jarno, as Jarno seemed to have the edge before. Felipe now has the edge again. A bit of oversteer there. As you can see, Felipe, he is low on the ERS, so and every time I seem to look at him, he doesn't have loads and loads of ERS. You can see it charging into the hairpin. But maybe that's something Felipe needs to look at. He does need to work on conserving his ERS if, you know, if it's hurting him down the straight up in overtake mode, which is the fastest, so obviously not hurting him too much. But you can see here he's going to run out of ERS down the straight, so that's not great. So maybe he just needs to back off for a lap, cool his tyres, like Jan. I think he's got the upper hand, and then come back, as now it's only 4 seconds between P5 and P4, as Karim is ahead of Dan. 6th and 7th for the Mercedes. P7 on Dan's debut. He's kept his nose clean, and yeah, that's about what there is to say. 3.8 seconds now from Yannick to Simon. This will give Yannick a good confidence boost to really push on, get ahead of Simon. Felipe still hunting down Jarno. This man we haven't really talked about recently, but yeah, not much for me to say really. He's dominated the race. He's led every lap, and wow. Wow is all I can say. He's got the option to pit onto the Hypersoft if he desperately wants to go for fastest lap. You can try get a triple play, is it? I'm not really sure, but hat trick, or it's when you get pole, you get the win and fastest lap. But sorry, now we're looking to Felipe through the final corner. You can see he's close, but maybe just the ERS let him up, because he doesn't seem to be able to. He doesn't seem to have the run, and maybe it's just because the McLaren's running low wings. But yeah, maybe Felipe does need to back off for a bit and just, you know, save that ERS and come back in the final few laps of the race as Jarno pushes on and destroys his tyres. Meanwhile, looking to Yannick up in P5, still in P5, 2.5 seconds now, with 4 laps to go, sorry, through the final corner, onto the main straight, up into turn 3, laying on the brakes, going to use all the curb on the left, get very close to the wall. Oh, there's a spin up ahead. Oh, Simon's round. That's not good. Simon's round, that's going to be damage to the front wing. You can see big damage to the front right element. And where does Karim play into all this? Because that's going to be big damage. You can see the understeer. Is it worth Simon pitting there? Because is it worth? It's a big debate here, because now there's 24 seconds between, as Jarno has a 3-second time penalty. Right, that's interesting. That just spices up. So whilst we're talking about whether it's good or not for Simon to pit with just 3 laps to go, Karim 14 seconds now, which he can close. As yeah, Jarno 3-second time penalty for cutting corners. You can see he has been very much on the limit this whole race. So Felipe, he doesn't need to risk too much. You know, he can afford to just sit back and just stick within that 3-second gap. If I can remember racing here last year in Gprl, I got a 3-second time penalty, and instead of looking ahead, I was looking behind, because in P4, I believe it may have been Path chasing me down, who unfortunately isn't racing today. But yeah, I think it could have been Path chasing me down, and at the end it was like 3.2 seconds. So unlike me last year, Felipe is looking forward, and I don't believe Felipe will have too much of a problem keeping it within this 5 second. This 5 second, 3 second gap. Sorry, as there's about 1 second between two of them. Felipe does have DRS. Simon is in the pit, so he does just decide to pit. He comes out just ahead of Dan and behind Karim. There's about 11 seconds. I don't believe that there's not enough time to catch Karim unless Karim's tyres absolutely die at the end. I don't believe there'll be too much moving throughout the field. So Merjan, you know, he's sat back, relaxed, bit of a lock up there. He's won this race, you know. It's pretty simple. There's no two ways about it. Merjan's won this race and deserved winner. I think second best when it comes to driver of the day. Maybe third best. I'd put Felipe driver of the day. I think Yannick's also put in a very strong race. Good shift from him today, and possibly I think his best race of the season. But I think it's always what could have been with Yannick. You know, he's always managed to challenge for titles, hasn't he? If you think back to last season, season 2, he was fighting. Well, I'm not sure, but he won races and would have put up a challenge. And it ended up being between Casper and Terry. Terry ended up winning as final round was cancelled. But as we look to the constructors, before this race, Toro Rosso led the. If I can just get it up on my phone, Toro Rosso did lead the constructor standings. Yeah, they had a very strong 34 points to Renault's 27. At the minute, Renault will score 8 points, 10 points, I believe. As Toro Rosso and Merjan will score 12. Ryan not scoring today, out of the race, of course. Felipe is ahead of Jarno, so bit of a consolation there for Felipe. It wouldn't mean anything as he'd be ahead of him. Anyway, Yannick up in P4 still, maybe a bit. No, I thought I had a bit of front wing damage there. Sauber are set to score their first points. That's something to shout about. Williams, Williams 15 points. It's going to be only a couple of points for them today, as they do actually have, well, they have 2 drivers. One of them doesn't bother to say anything whether or not he can race, so I believe he will be out of the league soon. As we do approach the final lap, it's very close between these two, so it's going to be quite interesting to watch them fight. Let's hope Jarno doesn't take Felipe out. There's a little touch there, just a little love bite, just a little love tap, just hello, how are you? I'm still here, by the way. As yeah, I'd be very surprised if Jarno gets through. He wouldn't. As Raul complaining about something, about being repeated. I'm not really sure why, but moving on. Right, where's Merjan? Here he is. He's absolutely smashed today, hasn't he? Yeah, there's only one driver, there's only one winner. As Merjan taking the win, his second win in Gprl. And this time, he does it legitimately, not because of a penalty. He wins it on the road. That's a great job there from Merjan. Felipe will end up coming P2 unless there's a absolute monstrosity into the final corner. Saying that, Dan not doing everything he can to get out of the way. As there is a bit of a hold up there. Hopefully that's not a penalty for Felipe. As Jan is quite happy about his podium there. Good job from him. Good job from both the McLaren boys, P3 and P4, managing to recover after quite a not an incredible start, after a shaky start, to say the least. Yeah, they managed to get back up into the qualifying positions, swapping 2 drivers. But yeah, very good drive, very impressive there from Yannick. Never give up, suppose you could say, up into P4. Karim, P5, as he's getting pressured by... oh, he's finished the race. Cool. That was a good race, wasn't it? Him being... I do believe, don't quote me on that, but it should be. As we look at the final race results, good race today in Canada. I'd say I have enjoyed it personally myself. I'm sure Merjan enjoyed it. He had a quiet race. Felipe again pulling off an absolute masterclass. Up in P2, I think he really does get the Daniel Ricciardo of esports racing. Yano, good race, you know, early pit stop, thought he was out of it, came back, he's done well. Yannick kept his nose clean after the crash, but, you know, doing a good job. Karen P5, yeah, gained places and that's what matters. Simon P6, gained places again, that's what matters. Had a very interesting battle. Dan, underwhelming, I'd say, after his decent qualifying. Raul, mistakes, a few mistakes, and that led to him down the order. Henrik may just about score points, not sure. Dennis, Ryan, and Steve won't score points. So, I hope you guys did enjoy this. For everyone watching, remember, there will be a live stream. Next round is France, so make sure you watch that. And yeah, right here on the Gprl YouTube channel. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next live stream. Goodbye.